Dysfunctional Vet. This is my mud pump. It's made by Red Lion. I got it at Tractor Supply. The literature that came with it said this has been a family-owned business. A long time ago, I remember a sign that said, "Your name is your reputation." And this has been more recently, maybe in the 80s and 90s. I've talked to several people who have had carpentry work done in their homes, or maybe home remodeling or something. They will not do business with somebody who does not have their name, like Bob's Home Repair, or Bob Smith's Home Repair, or Bob Smith's Handyman. You know, you name it, we'll fix it. They won't do business with anybody that does not have a name on their business. I mean, a personal name. And I think that might not be a bad thing. Now, if you're dealing with like a big company like Armstrong Mechanical or Scott Crane, I believe Scott Crane is one of the bigger companies out in West Texas. I remember them doing lots of jobs, lots of big heavy-duty construction jobs. When you're going with a big box name like Kinder Morgan or Chevron or something, you know whatever they do, what's in the contract is going to be done. But again, this is Red Lion, and it's a good piece of equipment. Now, what I want to talk to you about is this hasn't been run in a while, and I'm about to start it up. It's been at least 3 to 4 months because of the rain out here. And my biggest modification right here is to put this cam lock receiver on there. This is the male part of the cam lock, and to take care of it. Now, this is the body of the thing. This top black thing you see right here is a plug. It turns counterclockwise to open, clockwise to close, righty-tighty, right? This is my lift, 16-foot maximum. I put this stuff on here so that in the off event I go somewhere and I'm working with somebody and they're thinking we can get deeper than 16 feet for pumping out something, they're aware of the fact it won't lift over 16 feet. That's not for me, that's for somebody if I'm helping somebody. Right here, I note that this is a 2-inch to 1-inch discharge and the flow is going that way. I put that on there again, just in case I'm working with someone so they don't mess something up. Now here's my specs, 150 gallons per minute, and it has a maximum pump height of 92 feet, and that's with a 2-inch discharge. There are some really good videos on the difference between horsepower and head on a pump as far as understanding how they work. I'm not going to duplicate that here. My purpose in this is to say I'm about to run this for the first time in several months. I'm just going to be starting it to make sure it runs, and so I've primed water in there. I pumped water until the lift is dripping, as you can see, and now it's safe to run this. You can run these for just a few moments dry, but it helps if you have some lubrication. One other aspect, real quick, one other aspect. Whenever you finish pumping mud through here, you need to pump fresh, clean water through for 2 to 3 minutes minimum. I tend to run it for 5 minutes because the water is cheaper than replacing this pump. But you want to pump it until it's clear. Now I did that, and when I was pouring the water down this priming port right here, the black one, when I was pouring water in there, I saw mud in there. So even though I ran it till it's clean, there's still some residual mud, possibly on the impellers or somewhere. But I want to point that out to you, that you need to pump this until it's clean. And I would say don't ever put it up with mud in it. Now it is possible to take this all apart. See all the bolts? You can take this apart and clean it all out, but that's an incredible amount of labor. It's just easier to flush it clean when you finish with it. With that said, Dysfunctional Vet for the Red Lion trash pump, out. This is a still photograph because of the shake that's in my hands. The top of the pump has been opened up, and if you look, you'll notice that there's some rust right in there at the top.
It's very small amounts of rust, and if you take your finger, you can actually rub it off. It has not solidified. I tried to pull start and it wouldn't pull. Apparently there was a little bit of buildup inside, so I took a hammer and I very gently tapped it. I mean very gently. And it immediately pull started. I called up Red Lion and I talked to a very nice young lady there. She told me that I could use propylene glycol. Propylene glycol is an antifreeze, but it's vegetable base. You could eat it, it's not going to hurt you. If you've bought frozen food, it was probably put in a bag, thrown into the safe antifreeze, frozen, removed from the bag, and then rebagged for selling purposes. That stuff is totally safe. There's also other rust inhibitors you can use, but since I'm using this for drilling water wells, I do not want any type of a toxic substance going into the ground. One quick plug. Hazardous material, and this is a test question, hazardous material is anything that's hazardous for you or the environment.
Putting the thing back together. Now the top piece there, that's been put on. There's a rubber seal between the housing and the discharge mount. There's also one at the bottom. I just rinsed that off with clean water. I'm getting ready to reseal it. But I wanted to talk about the piece that the water is coming up through. Remember, I said that it has a 16-foot lift. Let me show you how that works. Barometric pressure applies at sea level 16 pounds, actually not quite 16, but 16 is close enough, pounds per square inch pressure, which translates into about 2,200 pounds per square foot on the surface of the earth at sea level. In the back you have a flapper. You notice that this thing comes open like so. So when it's installed, you want to make sure that this is on the bottom so that as you fill the thing up, as you prime it to start pulling a vacuum, that this thing is closed and the water doesn't leak out. Now it will drip. You could go to a lot of trouble and you could make a super seal on it, but why? This works just fine. If you notice, there's my 16-foot lift. So that goes to the top. This goes to the bottom. You'll notice there's a little mud and rust in there. I'm getting ready to clean all that out when I put it back on. But I wanted to show you this. It has a little flapper. As it pulls a vacuum, or differential in pressure for those of you that are Tree Planet fans, the thing opens up and it starts to pull the water in, eventually opening up pretty wide. The metal housing that's inside there prevents this from being caught in the impeller. So that's the purpose of that metal that's inside there. And I will make a video specifically on the recommendations of Red Lion as far as an anti-rust additive when you finish. And I'm going to guess also that they're going to say to take the bottom drain plug out, which I showed previously. Operation of the Red Lion trash pump. That switch you see, this red one, needs to be turned to the on position. It's in the on position now. The choke needs to be turned to the full choke. That's run, that's slow. This doesn't really do anything. It's a throttle if you have to manually operate it. And then we turn it off because it's not sucking water in and we don't want to run that pump. Now I added water through that black port at the top, right there. I added water to it, but we do not want to be running it empty. What I'll do now is I will take this, I'll drain the water out through the bottom plug. I'm going to open the top and the bottom just to let it drain out and dry. I'm going to set it over where it'll get partial sun to dry out. Dysfunctional vat out.